That brings us to the most important stage of writing, revising. And again, I cannot emphasize enough the amount of time that is required in this stage of writing. And the time comes in both revising, actually rewriting, but also in being able to step away and to come back. If you do not reserve enough time to step away from your project and to reread your project multiple times, you're missing a key perspective, which is that the reader will have when they read your work. If you just work right up into the deadline, you never actually read your work as a reader. So, what do we do in revision if it takes all this time? Well, here are a few key terms that you want to keep in mind. The audience and the purpose always remain at the forefront as they continue to re-examine their work in relation to the job of the writing assignment. The purpose helps to shape both what stays in the writing and what needs to come out of the rewritings. So rereading the directions during this period is crucial because as you're writing, you're again coming to know the subject more and more, and also formulating your claims and reformulating your claims, revising your working thesis. And so this process of checking back in with what the purpose of the assignment is multiple times really helps to keep you on track and prevents you from wasting a lot of time. Organization, you can begin looking at the global issues of organization. How did you order those paragraphs? Did you group ideas together, or do you have topics kind of scattered haphazardly throughout the paper? I tend to label ideas with A's, B's, C's, and D's. And so as I'm rereading my draft, I'll label, oh, this is one idea, A. And then if I see a portion of that same idea embedded lower down in the paper, I will also label that A. And so by the end of the paper, I'll have different letters that symbolize where I have scattered ideas throughout the paper. And then at that point, I will simply cut and paste and put all the A's together, all the B's together, all the C's together. And that's really the global kind of structural organization that is so crucial, and to examine how well you're guiding the reader through your points. There are also local issues that I think are important, looking at the hook. How did you open? How did you draw in the audience in your first couple of sentences? Examining the language that you're using, which is the diction of the piece, thinking about your audience, thinking about how you're conveying your ideas and using the best word possible. Also thinking about how your introduction and your conclusion frame the writing is crucial at the earlier stages, because you want to guide your reader into the ideas in an effective introduction by setting up the rhetorical situation, giving them all the information they need to know in a broad sense so that they're ready to process the information as it comes at them in the body of the essay, but then also to bridge them for their exit from your ideas and out into the real world, and what you want to leave them with, and how you can an experience in the introduction that they reconnect to and really deepen the meaning of in the conclusion. Then as you move out of the global and more towards the sentence level or the smaller details of revision, you always want to check your incorporation of evidence. Consider logos in your writing. Did you build a logical argument? Did you explain the evidence? Did you organize it in a way that it's clear for the reader to understand? Do they have the information that they need in order to process that evidence going into the evidence? And then did you make your points clear in the analysis? Did you incorporate signal phrases and citations? And if you are using citations, did you include a bibliography or a work cited? Citations are only one part. Of course, the work cited is required to give the reader the information for the full source. So these are all things that you want to check and make sure that you have as you move through the stages of revision. One of the main issues that students have is redundancy in their writing, and that's where you need to have the perspective of time away from the writing so that you can recognize where you're repeating yourself. Repetition does not improve your writing project. It takes away from the clarity and the conciseness of writing. So really looking for, did I already say this? Students or inexperienced writers often put the quote in and never look at it again because it's in quotes. Oh, well, I don't need to look at that. That's not my writing, that's someone else's. Well, it's a very debilitating experience to read someone's quotations and see grammatical errors, because it really makes me doubt the writer and start to doubt the whole argument itself. So to create an error in someone else's words is damaging to the ethos. Then you start looking at how well you're guiding your reader through the points using the sentence level skills of subordination and coordination to create sentence variety throughout your piece. You definitely don't want to have an overemphasis on long, complex sentences. That doesn't help the reader get through your points. You want to have nice variety and have a reason for short and long sentences, and really use the fanboys to coordinate and combine simple sentences, and then also use subordinators to really guide the reader through points. You also want to check your analysis. Did I make clear why this matters, why this topic matters in each paragraph? So at this point in revision, you need to continue to re-examine your thesis in relation to each paragraph, and how the paragraphs support the thesis needs to be made clear. This improves the flow of your writing and really helps to draw the reader through your points. Also check your reporting verbs and the signal phrases. According to, says, argues, explains, there's a whole list of verbs that really help to cue the reader prior to introducing quotes. So throwing in some variety instead of just says, it helps to guide the reader through the points, and that's something that would come in the latter portion of revision. And this word cohesion is often on rubrics for writing. Instructors want to see that your ideas are held together in an effective way, and that there's an overall connection between introduction, the body paragraphs, and the conclusion. And so the cohesion is really achieved through the alignment of topic sentences, and how you are able to kind of have a mini conclusion or wrap up that topic in your paragraph before moving on to the next. Transitions also help, of course, to guide a reader through the points, and improving sentence clarity and sentence variety by working through the process of feedback loops with either an instructor or writing center tutors or anyone that's willing to read your work, to see where you can increase the clarity or where you can develop your ideas more effectively.